I'm realizing when we're having this episode why it's so hard to tell people what it's about, like the podcast.
I keep saying Shelby's a conservationist and I'm a therapist, and we're exploring how those come together.
See, that's so much better than I'm like, it's an integrated healing approach to mind, body, and spirit, bringing together multiple disciplines and complex questions. The nervous system. That's great because I'm always nervous.
And I'm very excited to be talking to you about this, journalist, anthropologist, biologist, conservationist.
Oh my God.
Because you understand a lot of mammalian nervous system already.
As one.
And I would like to open it with a question. When I say nervous system, what comes to your mind?
Oh my God. Body regulation.
Yeah.
Symbols and signals to your body from your body.
Yeah.
About what you're experiencing in your environment.
Amazing.
And kind of like, I feel like the neuroskeletal is what we honestly mean by muscle memory. Mm-hmm. I don't think it has anything to do with your muscles. It may, but what I mean by that is it holds memory that either your body or your mind couldn't process, but your body received signals about, and your mind maybe said, put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Oh, and see. It was something that was so dysregulating to your system, to your physical body, and your mental body. There's a connection with it that I don't fully understand, that I'm hoping you'll talk about, but I know that they're together in spirit, and I know that that comes out as emotions or physical pain or grief or memories or reflections or epiphanies. So I want to hear what it is to you, because you probably have a definition in mind.
That was beautiful. That was great. And I think that is even more in depth than most people think of when they think nervous system. I think that's it, right? We did it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
On the show that we share. You did
Thanks,
great.
Kyle.
Such a
job.
good conversation.
Wrap it up.
She did this, but I want to hold it because it's pretty and I want you to think I did it if you didn't watch the rest of the video. me. God, this is beautiful. I can't. This was you, not ChatGPT. ChatGPT.
I don't want to get so overly academic that people aren't interested. Because
I'm interested.
Thank you. The point that I want to bring into the nervous system today is how it overlaps in our fields.
Why are conservationists so obsessed with therapists?
Yeah. So let me review some of my notes. We'll get into it. And it's interesting because the nervous system, like even the endocrine system, bows down to the nervous system.
Miss Carter.
The nervous system is Beyonce.
Period.
You can't touch her.
I know.
Last week you stated how we're not separate from nature, we are nature. And I think that that's a beautiful example of how this shows up and evolves in the therapy space with our nervous systems. And how mental well-being is truly, it's deeply ecological and interwoven with environment, with relationship, with cultural systems, and more.
Oh my God. Can you speak from your therapeutic lens about how it's deeply ecological and deeply maybe evolutionary?
I'm getting there. Yes. Trust me. Evolutionary psych is something that I absolutely geek out about, and I do have that in here.
I didn't even know it was a field.
Yes.
None of it is deeply ecological. We are nature. We are not separate from nature.
Yeah. So Dr. Luis Cozzolino writes in one of my favorite books, The Neuroscience of Psychotherapy, healing is inherently relational. Our brains and bodies adapt within the ecosystems that we inhabit. So when you think about nervous system, our nervous systems are wired from a very young age. So co-regulation, which is a central part of our autonomic nervous system, it actually begins in utero when we are hearing our mothers talk.
Oh, God.
That begins co-regulation. All of our complicated mother relationships out there,
Mom, skip this episode. All right? It's not for you. Stay out of my room. Okay? Capiche?
so when we have adverse childhood experiences, if we're raised in poverty, if we have complex mother-daughter relationships, all of these things, our nervous system is registering them, understanding them, and pivoting. Your nervous system has a memory. So I know that ecosystems and nervous systems may seem worlds apart, but trust me, from a conservationist and a therapist, one is rivers and forests, sure. The other is neurons and vagal tone, absolutely. But they both depend on constant adaptation through feedback loops.
Yes. Oh my God, simpatico.
I love Gabor Mate in his book, The Myth of Normal. He talks about, and we do this in therapy, we don't ask what's wrong with you, we ask what happened to you and in what environment. Because that's the important part to understand. And the more that we spend time in that zone, so when I'm working with clients and I'm asking all of these psychodynamic questions, trying to understand their childhood, some people really struggle with that, and that's okay. We can stay, in the here and now. I'm very existential as well, so I love working in the here and now. However, when you have an understanding of what happened in childhood, you have so much more material and context to effectively address how things are coming up in the here and now.
I'm exploding.
I also wrote down, in ecology, biodiversity builds resilience and buffers shocks. A diverse system recovers faster from fire and floods. Nervous systems with variety in regulation strategies, they also build resilience in very much the same way. So when there's a fire or a flood in our own personal life, in our emotions, when we're having an emotional fire, the more regulation strategies that we have and the better support systems that we have, the easier our nervous system is going to readapt and then recuperate from
You're
that.
gonna $HIT your pants when you see what I've written for you today.
I'm so ready.
We are...
And this is another area that dabbles into community too. When communities preserve different ways to regulate, like rituals, movement, songs, and nature, they create and embody resilience.
2 haikus, different words, same poem. She's brilliant. Look at all her notes. Will you show them?
Look at us.
And then look at what I wrote. Show them that. And then your diagram.
I haven't even gotten to all of it yet.
Just look at her. So, and then Courtney.
This is from Sasha Blossom, who's also a fellow therapist. We're sold nervous system regulation like it's a neat little toolkit, a checklist. And yes, parts of that can be supportive, but let's be clear, that's the tip of the iceberg. True nervous system regulation isn't just individual, it's systemic. It's relational, it's communal. You cannot separate the body from the world that it lives in.
Boy from the jungle, but not the jungle from the boy. Beach. Tarzan knew. We know.
We autonomically and automatically mirror other people. There are things called mirroring. There are things called mirror neurons that are absolutely fascinating to explore. We're social creatures by evolution.
Yes, we are, especially as primates.
Things like, so tangible aspects of this, things like yoga, dance, play, nature, awe and gratitude, helping others, breathing exercises, singing and harmonizing, creative art, and therapies, they all help us to heal our autonomic nervous system and trauma responses and help develop flexibility within our system. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to things like the community, collective cultures, like Tanzania, for example, in some of the videos that you sent me where y'all are singing and dancing to some of the indigenous tribal songs. It's a new environment for you.
For them
but
or for me?
both, probably.
Yeah, it was stressful for them. I broke everything. No.
But this is a great way of demonstrating co-regulation. Another area that I see co-regulation come up frequently is not only like when I'm doing individual counseling, because it's happening in the moment through corrective emotional experiences and therapy, which I talked about a little bit last time, but also watching my couples learn how to co-regulate when I'm doing couples counseling, and I'm watching them develop these co-regulation skills without, a lot of the times it happens very organically, and it's just such a beautiful thing to bear witness to. And it gives me so much hope in community and in relationships. And that's why we're here today.
And that's why we continue to be here. You're saying something that we in the United States have forgotten is each other.
Yep.
We are medicine for each other. We are the remedy for the problems from the system. And the systems are oftentimes, especially in the United States, what divide us and what keep us apart. So, for example, in policy, with Republicans and Democrats, with both becoming so polarized and there are such extremes on both sides, our government and media have worked together to weaponize our own ideals against us to divide us as a community, instead of paying attention to the systems that are actually dividing us. We've been talking about playfulness over perfection.
Yes.
And that's so regulating.
It is.
And it comes from community, and it comes from your inside too.
Yeah.
While we're on this resource tab, and you may have it coming up, you talked about one of our strongest resources for healing and coming into the present and kind of updating that nervous system track record, like saving a game on a video game. It's like, I gotta go home, I gotta hit save, and then we can leave the house. Part of that is community. Like, one of the biggest assets to healing on an individual level, and I think societal, is community. And I know that in our time with Kisosi, who's from Tanzania, we talk a lot about the difference in coming from a country that's so rooted in community, and he is indigenous Maasai tribesman and a warrior, and community is literally everything to their society. Their age cohorts and their, rites of passage and different milestones in their life all revolve around how they serve the community. And all of the human rights violations that are going against the Maasai tribe in Tanzania, meeting in the middle, as it were, and elevating other forms of knowledge and validating them as much as we in Western society or the global North respect science and scientists. But we're also not listening to scientists. That's what I was literally psychic energy. We're also in this country not trusting the experts anymore. Yeah. And we're not, like, as a scientist myself, don't trust me. Don't trust me. But as a scientist myself who's been to, like, I've been doing international collaboration for a little bit in different ways now. I've worked in government, I've worked in education, I've been a student, I've been an employee, I've been in the field, I've been in the office, and I see the ways that information is siloed and kept from each other. It's like the field office may know this really important piece of the puzzle, but they won't give it to HQ because then HQ will have all the resources and control the decisions on the ground for something they're not even seeing. And it's impacting people they'll never meet, so they don't understand. So why would I give my decision-making dollars to the person in the office that's never been on the ground and doesn't have the context of what's happening in that place where people live to the people that live there, when I could just talk to the people that live there? Exactly. Yeah. And there are all these systems that keep that from happening. I've worked in conservation
like whatever it's been known to be for almost a decade. And the first time I got to leave this country to do actual conservation work was only a few years ago, like 3 years ago. And you were kept from, you can read everything there is to know in a book. You can read every word on every page that's ever been written. And until you do it, and until you go there, and until you meet someone, until you have that conversation, you are never going to know how that theory applies to this practice and where we're actually at. Yeah. So I can say recycle. Everybody, that helps. Okay, and that doesn't hurt. All I'm trying to say is you can choose one action and think that's contributing and that's making a difference. And it's not, but it also isn't. So what it actually means is adopting a set of values and saying it matters to me. What I care about is people. And like, I know that if I make this purchasing decision, that is going to imply this much carbon was emitted into the atmosphere, this much transportation, this much like child labor, this much exportation or importation of whatever product, this amount of like taxation increase, this whatever the factor that you're not considering is by that leverage point. So it's all of us being in the conversations about like, oh, I understand that this actually impacts an area of someone's life I never thought about, like buying that sandwich hurt someone I'll never meet. We're so familiar, and especially in American, in like North American, United States societies in particular. Thich Nhat Hanh, are you guys familiar? A Buddhist practitioner, and he has this book called How to Eat, and it talks about how every time you sit down with a meal, you're not just sitting down with the food, you're sitting down with the sunlight that made the food, you're sitting down with the hands that carried the food to get to you. How does it feel being in a place that's disconnected from that process and like, oh, like you're like, yeah, of course it does, you know? This is your first time in the States, right? What has this been like for y'all?
I think more than ever, the US needs to put individualism aside and have a sense of community.
Yeah.
Because imagine how, for example, the carbon footprint, for example, is reduced if people couple, if people live more. Yeah. So, and also, essentially, having people get off this mental health crisis, for example. It's a big thing here. And growing up, we never knew about mental health issues because technically I would be feeling sad and I'd go to this gentleman, for example, and we have a joke about something and we talk to people. I think what we crave more than anything else is connection. And it's evident from how you feel when you're with your friends. It's evident from how you feel when you're with people.
I was reading for something. That I was.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So yeah. So for example, in Kenya, if you live in Nairobi, let me give an example. Nairobi, it's our capital. So most people who use public transport don't have a schedule that they will actually use. So you'll be in a bus that packed up to the brim, and you probably you'll have by any chance, if you use the bus every time, and there are faces you'll meet over time. So it's easy for you to make friends.
Yeah.
Because you may not live,
often.
you see them often. So like you will talk to them, hi, where do you do, how are you doing? So in as much as you may not have like a strong economy, people have a good sense of community. You will see them if they practice religion, you'll ask them about their church. I feel like people are more concerned with one another. Uh, they care about genuinely one another. How is it? What's happening to you, for example? And when we arrived here, the professor told us when an American tells you, hey, how you doing? they really don't want to know how you're doing.
It's
It's
like,
like, hey, hey,
They're just
yeah,
walking past
exactly.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So like,
They're like, this is
literally-
how I avoid eye contact.
Right. Yes.
The awkward smile and wave.
Hey, yeah, hi, good to see you.
Yeah. So literally, when someone asks you, if someone doesn't want to like have a deep conversation, you say, "Mambo poa." Essentially, it would end there. Yeah. But when someone asks you, "How are you doing?" that person is invested.
Yeah.
So it's just like a cultural difference when you realize that when someone asks you that, they genuinely want to have a conversation with you.
That's
And
probably
perhaps-
why so many people laugh at me. One reason.
Oh man.
One reason. I feel that it affects my practice as well with
Yeah.
like the work that I do
Yeah.
because we also in America we're getting so separated that we stay within ourselves and we're so conscientious about what is happening with us that we inadvertently most of the time remove ourselves from the present moment experience and connection with other people. And a lot of that, seeing my mom, like who can't retire, she works all day, every day as hard as she can, and then she has nothing left when she comes home, and she's like, I have to go to bed.
Yeah.
Good night. I can't. I'm done. I can't do anything.
Work, sleep, wake
Life,
up.
life is
Wake up.
too overwhelming to have any moment to myself.
Yeah, and so apart from what Paul actually said, so on the other side, what the US has teaching me so far is to practice self-respect. Yeah.
Can you say more?
Yeah, self-respect. I mean, how you guys live, like you value the individualism. So for me,
On a positive note.
on a positive note, it helped me to to practice self-respect. I mean, I am not nobody, and no matter what background I come from, I mean, they are not nobody. So I think something that I will take back home, and I came to realize that I think we just have like a difference in mindset. So in Africa, apart from the big issue of Africa is leadership, we have a lot of resources, but I think the big problem is leadership. Apart from leadership, we have like a mindset like we tend to take things too personal, and we don't take initiatives a lot. Yeah, so and I think that is and I think that is individualism and self-respect. Yeah, so far that's what I've learned.
I like that. That's crazy because you said less individualism and you said more individualism. I think it's such an interesting conversation to have though because there is there's so many different sides of looking
Well,
at
it
one
depends
thing.
what individualism means when you actually mean it. Well, the thing is, and I
But also,
contextually,
okay.
I think why, because it can really mean that. Let's do
Yeah, I think what is important is individualism with humility. I think that's
Humility.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and the root of humility is humble.
Yeah.
Humble.
Yeah.
You know, and maintaining your own position in a way that's not saying I'm lesser than or I'm more than. I just am.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for me that matters a lot. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, for example, because why I agree with him to an extent, it's highly contextual when you talk about individuality, for example, is when we live as collective society. So in as much as, and you've seen that even with religion, for example, communities that live in a certain framework, like because you practice this faith, you're supposed to live this way. And so that becomes so constraining that it doesn't allow you as a person to express yourself, to have any contradictory thoughts because you live as a community. But also on the extreme, which if you think about it, on the extreme of highly social communities or like interactive communities, there's also like a downside to it. So it's just like if you think about it,
Finding the balance.
yes, find the balance
Yeah.
between that, and essentially that begins by acknowledging, for example, if you live in a highly capitalistic state, for example, how do you form your own community? Find people who will be
Secret over long periods of time.
Took a lot of isolation to get here.
Lots
I'll
of
tell ya.
midnight text messages, learning Braille.
Should we start walking back?
Girl. In your work, what examples have you seen of ecosystems recovering after disruption, and what can that teach us about recovering from personal and collective trauma?
God. Okay. There's an example with Scottish Highlands. Similar. This is a problem with carnivore reintroduction all over the world.
Yep.
Because it didn't have that apex predator that was a key regulating component of that ecosystem, much like the nervous system.
Yeah.
And so when you remove an element, it's not healing the environment, it's creating new complex challenges. So it's addressing
When you
it.
remove community. When systemic pressures remove community and profit off of removing community.
We have a lot of trouble with, one, boosting numbers of that species and securing its space in that ecosystem. So in Scotland, in the Highlands, there have been several attempts over the last few decades to reintroduce wolves, which are native species to the Scottish Highlands. However, a lot of these efforts have failed because farmers are having a lot of conflict with wolves and their herds or their cattle, their livestock, whatever the case may be. And so instead of adhering to government regulations or policy regulations or whatever it is to protect the environment, people are going to go away from the rule of law and they're going to act in accordance to preservation. And so maybe in unstressed times, they would respond differently. Maybe there would be more accommodation or invitation to accept the wolves or the predator into that ecosystem. But because their livelihood depends on their livestock, it's the same with lions in the Serengeti and the Maasai and their livestock. If your life depends entirely on this one thing and that thing is threatened, you're going to go from connection to protection, much like with a nervous system. So any sort of conservation action plan that doesn't think about people and the way that they're regulating their different systems and what those systems are outside of the ecosystem, what systems are influencing the people making the decisions that impact the success or failure of that action plan. And so when wolves were coming back into Scotland, farmers were killing them. They killed them all. And so eventually the government completely stopped trying to reintroduce them because it was clear that the farmers were going to continue killing the wolves and it was just going to be hurting species numbers. So that was not the ideal location for species reintroduction without a behavior change adaptation to the plan. So modern conservation, as we kind of talked about last episode, is all about behavior change and looking to key actors and stakeholders within that system. So it's an ecosystem, but it's also the government, it's education, it's the city, it's whatever, it's water, sewage, those things. Like what other things are going here? What other things depend on this area, these resources that are impacting the success or failure of this plan? So if you move out of connection and you go into protection, that's when behavior change models are introduced into conservation action planning. Those really are what changes the ecosystem, because while we may, in a generation, we may lose sight of our connection to community, but there is an ancestral memory of community that goes back several generations, and it's never truly erased, but we forget. And so behavior change can come in exactly like this podcast, where we can be two disciplines talking about one issue, and we realize how much intersection and overlap there is,
Yeah.
then we realize, oh, we have the expertise to contribute to your field.
How can conservationist approaches increase nature immersion for physiological and emotional well-being on the individual and community level?
When you say nature immersion, do you mean person's time spent in nature
Yeah.
and their full, like, immersion as in, like, I am part of this, I'm
Yes.
in it, I'm not just hiking, I'm understanding. I'm reading that question again with that context in mind.
How can conservationist approaches increase nature immersion for physiological and emotional well-being on the individual and community level?
I'm so excited. Can I have a moment to just deep? Thank you so much. Will you kill me if I ask you to read it one more time?
Not at all.
You should have seen me as a spelling bee contestant. Use it in a paragraph.
Give me a soliloquy.
Oh my God, I love this question so much. Thank you so much for your patience with me. Thank you, Courtney. That's so good. Individual, I'm writing this for myself so I don't ever have to ask you to read it again. Other than the 16 more times I'm going to ask you. So thank you so much for asking. Several times. So conservation approaches contributing to immersion in nature on individual and community levels. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. So many Polaroids falling on this one. So the first thing is something we're doing right very now is interdisciplinary collaboration, multi-sector collaboration. So bringing together people that are in nature-intensive specific fields.
Nature-based therapy?
Oh, period. Here she is. Nature-based therapy, nature-informed therapy. That was the first bullet, Mama.
Thank you.
Put her there.
You
Give me some
get
skin.
me.
I get you.
You get
me. The pulses, the vibrations and frequencies you were talking about in co-regulation.
Wow.
That also happen in music and with art. Interdisciplinary collaboration. So what we're doing right now is bringing, I'm in what I would self-deem as a nature-based field or an ecosystem environment oriented field. Although with the caveat I will say we've been talking about how it's community focused and people focused, but for this conversation it was started to conserve the environment, species, habitats, those kind of things. We're just now realizing people's role in that.
Yeah.
Largely because we're in an Anthropocene, which is anthropogenic destruction, which is basically like human caused chaos.
Yep.
Okay, so by bringing together me, nature-based, and you, not nature-based, not that you don't know about nature, and not that you're not a nature enthusiast or a nature expert, but therapy, over time, in its milestones, has been separate from the discourse of nature. Until very recently.
Very recently.
Super hyperactively happening at this very moment as we speak. There may be new disciplines described, which we will also link. Catch it. So by bringing us together to talk about nature and to talk about our issues, maybe not even related to nature, we have already in this conversation seen several occurrences of how we align and how we're similar, how our values intersect, how our motivations and our desires and our goals and our missions intersect. And so when you have that alignment and that cohesion, and then you introduce nature, and then you say, oh my gosh, I'm da-da-da-da, and you're like, me, dude, da-da-da-da. And then I say, let's go on a nature excursion, and I take my friend who maybe isn't as familiar with nature. She's a natural nature girl, mammalian mode, almost always.
I quite literally grew up in the middle of the woods like a wild animal. I was raised with the coyotes. That was my dad.
You. That's why they were all talking
my dad
to
that
us.
Was skinning the deer. He was actually a coyote.
Deer clothing.
Yeah.
Wearing people clothing.
Wearing a ghillie suit.
Draw that for me. And then present. We've got to draw that and then put it on the screen.
Amazing.
That's our cover art. Here we go. Next tattoo right here. That's how I'm going to see your dad every time I talk to him now.
Yep.
And when I laugh in his face next time and I won't have an answer for that, that's on you.
That's on me. I take full accountability.
That's when I leave the room and I steal your car and I never come back. I leave the state. So yeah, so bringing, say, for this conversation, you're not feral. You were born in the city. You don't have access to green spaces. You have skyscrapers, you have
Sad.
pigeons, you have concrete, and like if you see a tree, it's one sycamore tree in a
the
picket
sidewalk.
fence in the sidewalk. So it's really limited about how it can connect with other trees, because now we know with the science of trees that they talk to each other and that they communicate, and that's why a lot of planned forests, like early conservation forests, fail at the job of protecting and furthering the ecosystem and the habitat and boosting species numbers, because they're not communicating in the way that they were meant to communicate, because they're separated.
Yeah.
So when you have fragmented environments like that, and you have somebody living in an urban area, let's say, then they're not going to have the same connection to or familiarity with nature. They may be interested, they may not be. That's not really the point. The point is exposure.
Yeah.
So interdisciplinary collaboration gives us the exposure to the natural world for those that may not be familiar, but it also allows conservation action plans to implement key learnings and insights that are relevant from other disciplines that may have been applied to other practices, but not conservation. But now that we're seeing behavior change and decision making emerge as a key leverage point in action plans for the conservation of ecosystem health, it's really important to talk to each other, build community, just like with nervous systems, ecosystems. In disciplines, in sectors, build community, share, talk, don't stop talking, we never will. Break those barriers down, break the divide and the silos, and collaborate, create, build community.
God, that's beautiful. Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
There are many ways. You mentioned nature-based therapies or nature-informed therapies, which are different but similar to adventure and wilderness therapies. So there are a ton of emerging therapies that we should dive into and learn about together.
Oh, I have so many thoughts about these.
And I'm dying for certifications. I'm dying, but
I'll plug this really quickly.
Yeah.
My grad program was incredibly
our cohorts to each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's it.
That's it. And then we're out of a
sorry.
job.
So sorry. Please go ahead.
No,
Please
your
go ahead.
your cohort.
Oh, my entire grad program, the whole college, so nature focused, experiential therapies, and very understanding in late stage capitalism and
Shared values,
intergenerational,
attracting
and
like-minded, passionate change makers to build community and network and resource and resilience for these wicked problems that don't seem to be getting less complex. We need each other more than ever. It's time to remember. Wake up.
I believe that creativity is a way to foster community. And I also really believe in creativity for so many different avenues for healing. And that's why this question was so near and dear to my heart. Creativity is something that I try to bring into all of my disciplines. So for this question, how do you think that creativity, art, music, and storytelling can shift the way that people engage with conservation and therapy? No.
Okay. Thank you, because I wrote this, but I forgot what she said.
How do you think that creativity, art, music, and storytelling can shift the way that people engage with conservation and therapy?
Oh my God, you're so brilliant. I love you, and thank you for paraphrasing. So many ways, but the first thing that comes to mind is a parable that goes with a story.
Beautiful.
You mentioned soundscapes and bioacoustics earlier, and I can't help but think about my good friend and colleague, Sofia Pastor. She is a Costa Rican biologist and conservation leader. She specializes in tapir and manatee science and study. She basically lives, sleeps, eats, and breathes Tapir Valley, which is a whole nother episode. But she was playing me tapir sounds, and they're basically singing forest pigs. Like, I thought it was a bird. When she played it for me, I was like, where's the tapir? And she was like, that is. And it literally was like, I was like, excuse me? That forest pig, that squonk, made that noise. And so I'm someone who is a conservation leader. I had no idea what I was listening to or the significance that it conveyed. But as an artist and someone who is a musician and a music producer, I love making beats. I immediately, it clicked, oh my God, I have to have a tapir bioacoustic recording to make a beat.
Wow.
I have to have this. So I was like, please send me everything you have to put them into the beats of a song in a way that's not overtly a tapir or a conservation song, but through artistic expression. And when you love an artist and you love the lore, you're gonna see music and you see, like, how did they make this beat? Oh my God, it's a tapir. A tapir's an animal. This animal is a pig. This pig sings and it lives in the jungle. What the heck is going on? Is this mythology? So then you dive in and that becomes an educational tool while still being art, and it's not
Beautiful.
PSA. It's not saying conservation matters and you should care, because if I hear that, I'm turned off.
Yeah.
I was going to do it, but if you tell me to do it, I'm not doing it.
Yep.
Who are you?
Yep.
Singing forest pig. Squonk. So that's one piece. So it's introducing the information to the wider collective, to the system, who may not have heard it, and they may not be receptive to it in its raw form. If you say tapirs are endangered, tapirs are threatened, tapirs are facing human-imposed threats. But if I put the bioacoustic recording of a tapir and I let you get to know a tapir before you know it's a tapir, and you form that connection with it through music and through art, then you're going to care more than you would if you didn't have a personal memory. Because you may never see a tapir if you live in Arkansas and your closest animal is McDonald's. So that's one piece. And then the piece about art and creation and community and storytelling that you mentioned, that comes through the story about Sophie and my time at Cambridge, where I joined a band that none of us can remember the name of. I think it's most threatened or critically endangered.
Cute.
I think it's critically endangered was our band's
her.
name. I introduced us as the Pussycat Dolls during our live performance at Cambridge in the David Attenborough building because I could not remember our name. And Mary had already said it. And she's an amazing marine biologist.
Hola a todos, yo soy Mariana, cofundadora de Emboldening Foundation. Los queremos invitar, extender una invitación muy cálida a nuestras actividades de la Semana del Océano. Tendremos un taller de restauración, una mega limpieza costera y una fiesta del océano para recaudar fondos para la fundación. Estén muy pendientes de nuestras redes, donde estaremos difundiendo y compartiendo más información acerca de estas actividades.
They are my sisters. And so we, in that spirit of community, through our cohort at Cambridge, our conservation leadership cohort, where the idea was they put a bunch of us together that had similar ideas. And I think that part of the process for selecting cohorts is the cohesion element and like what we have to learn from each other. Like, where are we from? What's our background? What's our story? Why are we here? Like, all of that matters as much, if not more, than what our undergrad degrees are in. So the community and the storytelling and the art comes when you build community, because you can tell stories as a solo artist. You can tell effective, impactful stories. But when you come together as a band and you build community around people that love you, like even our 1 or 2 performances that we had ever, I got to rehearse with them. They weren't only my classmates and my colleagues professionally and my peers socially, they were also my artistic collaborators. So I got to know them in a different way that was vulnerable. And it was me giving pieces of myself. Like, I didn't realize that when I signed up to be in a band, I would have to sing in front of my bandmates.
Who would have thought?
You don't get this. But you do, because we have to rehearse, and I can't just be like, and then go on stage and trust me.
Yeah.
That comes with building shared experiences over time, building trust that way.
Yeah.
Through, like we're doing with the podcast, you learn, you fail, you bruise, you rebuild, you repair. And it's the same with ecosystems. It's the same with creating anything.
And nervous systems.
And so in order to tell the story of conservation and to impact conservation success, if we're defining it here as ecosystem resilience, habitat and species, we're all good, we're safe. There's balance, there's harmony. Then that means that we have to have cohesion as a group to get that message across, because part of conveying a message isn't just saying it. It's the coherence, it's the flow, and it's, does it land? Is there a receiver? So like when you put something in a song, maybe you put Tapir Bioacoustics in a song and then you perform it as a band, you're creating a collective experience with that piece of art that may be separate from conservation, but you're a community, one, sharing those values, coming together, making something you're passionate about and you care about. Two, you're teaching people subconsciously on the low, right? The long conservation. That's what it stands for, conservation, the long con. About your values as a group and like part of the reason you came together and what keeps you together and what inspires you to create, like where that creative well comes from. And so when you get up there and you realize I have to sing in front of my bandmates, then you're not as afraid as if you were, who are these people? Can I be myself? Do I just jump right in? Whatever. We'd had so many months to build up that relationship and that connection. And so our storytelling was a lot clearer to the receiver. And so we were able to unify ourselves on a message, create something that spoke to that, that embodied those values, and manifested something material in the real world that was tangible to other people without ever holding anything. And so part of that comes with, I wrote this down because I knew I would get to this point. How we speak conservation into the collective is through artistic expression, which fortifies social bonds, group dynamics, and social cohesion, increasing the likelihood of conservation success through shared experiences, long-lasting trust built over time, and friendship rooted in shared values and passions. And that's what not only allows the success of conservation, but allows you to continue, because it's a lonely, hard, broke, deadbeat, starving artist position. It's lonely. You're sent to different corners of the world from the people that you love the most, and you have to keep going for them, for yourself, for the collective. And so to have that connection and to create something with that community that lasts forever, it'll outlive you, speaks movement into the collective. And I think that's where the healing comes from with art and specific.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of what you were saying, it really sparked a lot of my experience from my sculptural class in undergrad, and the way that it wouldn't have had the same effect if we had never met each other and then all of a sudden we just bring our art out and we're presenting. There's one, it's the heaviest piece that I've ever done. It's called Forest Spirits, and I bronze casted it. It took me 5 months in total to complete this sculpture. And through this process, my dearest Jessica, we never planned it, but we had every single semester, we had at least one art class together. And she was with me throughout this whole process. Watching the birth of that from inspiration to concept to fruition, all throughout blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
My sculptural professor was missing the tops of 2 of his fingers. Like,
as he
when
should
I
be for his art.
There's so much that goes into
became
sculpture.
an ore smither. This is RuneScape IRL.
But the thing that really stuck out was not when it came time to presenting something that we had worked months of arduous labor on. It is a very labor-intensive art form. The thing that stuck out the most was not us sitting there being like, you could have used a patine on the bronze. You get really close with your sculptural cohorts. And everything that we've gone through together, and the days that we spent and the after class hours that we spent. There's a board of art directors that come to critique your entire portfolio.
That's horrifying. That must be what Ari was talking about with her tuning fork.
It's so
Yes
scary.
And
it's so scary. You have to present gallery standards, and then they come in when you're not in the room and they eviscerate your art. You have to go back in, and they're all sitting there in a panel, and they are ready to critique your gallery.
They're the copper people.
It is so intense. And so that is a very different experience than when I'm sitting with my cohort and they're saying, like, Courtney, the inspiration for your forest spirit sculpture, I see yourself. I see these aspects of things.
What does that do to your inner critic when you hear that?
My experience in art school transformed the way that I create, not because I'm classically trained. I realized that nobody is thinking about me the way that I'm thinking about me.
Just take the driving test. The stupid driving man's coming.
Nobody cares, but in the best way. In the best way. And it's this fascinating, terrifying experience where you're putting up something that came from your heart and soul.
Matters the most to you.
Oh, it's so tender. And then you're putting it on a wall for
the purpose of judgment.
Exactly. And everyone that has been an artist, and we had talked about this in artist circles, they're the ones that we worry about presenting to, but they're the ones that are the most compassionate to present to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
May I share something that came up about my performance?
Yeah.
That when you were speaking?
Yeah.
There was a moment in rehearsal where Boris and his wife Dunya, Boris is an ant biologist, and he also studies a lot of he is also a sculptor. He's a clay. He does ceramics.
I love ceramics. Can I show you my thick skin sculpture that was ceramics?
Only if you show me your thick skin. Broad Irish back.
Sorry.
Boris. He, for the first time ever that I realized I was going to have to sing, and they brought out a microphone. I hadn't held a microphone since the middle school talent show, which was obviously great and went super well. Followed by the band camp skit, which I improv'd as I entered onto the stage. So not the best relationship with the microphone since then.
Right.
And I grabbed the microphone and I realized that I was teaching my bandmates a Mac Miller song, which is one, rap is kind of hard to understand even in English. Mm-hmm. Two, none of their native languages were English. They had never heard Mac Miller, none of them. And Mac Miller was also a super experimental artist that is really difficult to put into a box of hip-hop, R&B, or jazz, or soul, or whatever, because he's so experimental and appreciates music. And I knew that Boris, he's a guitar player, Sophie, guitar player, like they have some levels of experience with bass. And several of our other bandmates had, like Mary is a Colombian pop star. But I realized all these factors after the fact. Before the fact, I was like, I love this song. It's What's the Use? Thundercat played the bass on the original, and it was one of the Tiny Desk concert episodes in the set list that he played that I literally, this song meant so much to me. I played it on a loop 457 times a night the year I lived in a house by myself. It was the first time I'd ever lived alone. And I decided I wanted to be a rapper. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And you are one now.
Thank you. Unwrap that. So I'm realizing all these things. I just love the song. I know I can rap the song. And I'm still at the phase of my artistry where I think that mimicking another artist to a T is being an artist. And I'm like, at this point in my life, I was going through so many classes. I went to music production classes, DJ classes, where they were like workshop hands-on. I went to, at Cambridge, this class that was a hip-hop songwriting class. I was the only student who showed up. A renowned global rapper, who I may name later, shows up. And he's like, what have you got? I'm like, me? I literally was like, me? And he was like, yeah, let's go. Let's put a beat on. And I was like, a what?
Wow.
And I had realized I had written songs like this.
Yeah.
Where's the music?
Yeah.
Where's the song? These are words. This is a poem. He was like, so you're a poet? And I was like, no, I'm a rapper. And he was like, then rap.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, you want me to freestyle right now? And he said, pick a beat. Let's get some license-free beats up. And I said,
oh my God, wow.
Okay. He was nice.
Okay.
He was kind.
Oh, good.
He was so encouraging. He gave me his card, which I still have in my passport. I almost threw up blood because this is so hard to say. But he said, pull up a beat that you like. So I pulled up a lo-fi beat because it felt Mac Miller-y. It felt like, because I was like, can I just perform all of his entire discography for you to show that I'm a rapper? And he was like, well,
and
that's...
she does know it.
I do, and that's for all of the other episodes. But, thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
But he was like, that's not the same thing as creating music. I was like, okay, so you want me to do the thing I came here to do now? I was just going to prepare to do the thing I came to do.
Yeah.
And you're here telling me to do the thing.
Yep.
And he was like, pull up a song you've written on your phone and let's try and put it to a beat. And then that's where I realized, like, oh, you can't fit 16 consonants into one bar. You can't. It's clever in its wordplay, which I'm good at, but if you're not doing it with the music to the cadence of the song, then it's not going to be a song. And so as I was in rehearsal, holding the microphone, about to perform What's the Use by Mac Miller for the first time for this international audience, I realized, like, oh, there's singing at the beginning. Oh, no. And I picked rap because I didn't have to sing, and I've always been told I couldn't sing. I realized, okay, so I'm going to have to do some kind of flair. And I sing the opening part. It's like, you can love it, you can leave it, saying nothing without it. Don't let them keep you down. And then I had to figure out what to do because Mac Miller just says, money, because he's a guy and everyone loves that.
Yeah.
But if you're a woman, if you have breasts but you're flat, get out. You know what I'm saying? And you're blonde, forget about it.
Forget about
useless.
it. Blue eyes?
Oh,
get out.
God, problematic. Oceans of problems here. Continental drift was caused by me. So I do that, and then I get into the rap, and I realize I'm trying to... There's this whole string element that I hadn't considered. Like, he has a whole jazz acoustic support ensemble. He loves strings. Strings, they're so good. So it had a jazzy element that we couldn't do with the instruments that we had.
Yeah.
So I had to, without playing the bass, without playing the guitar, without playing the piano, teach piano, guitar, and bass players how to do this chord or this run or this melody. And we finally got to a place where it's like, it's kind of like when we're editing and I'm like, bonk, bonk, and you're like, zoom, zoom.
Yep.
That's the language we were speaking. And I think that's kind of Rick Rubin's style of music production, because he doesn't play, he can when forced at gunpoint, play the piano. But there are other producers who are like, they teach with their guitar. They sing, nee, 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 and then they start a riff battle.
Yeah.
And Guitar Hero was born. So, and then I'm only on expert mode. So you realize in the process of doing things like, oh my God, and then it's happening too fast for you to be scared. So that wasn't really happening, and I had built the trust. And so when it was my turn to rap, I was like, oh, I got this shit. Bam. But then when it came time for feedback from Boris and Dunya was like, yes, 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 your voice is beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. But, and I was like, and then Boris and her collectively kind of said, it is not yet a song.
Oh.
And I said, you think I'm beautiful? I said, you think my voice is beautiful?
Yeah.
And so my inner critic, I asked you that because mine was doused. I was like, they're going to think, why is she holding a microphone? She's flat. She's 2 octaves too high. She's off beat. She's off rhythm. They were like, oh my God, you have a beautiful voice, which I was always told wasn't true.
Yeah.
And so I believed for 29, 30 years of my life. and I thought it was something that you couldn't change. But by meeting like 7 individuals who gave me the space to be myself and to create, even though they didn't know fully what was going on, we taught each other, we grew, and I was able to sing into a microphone. And when we performed What's the Use by Mac Miller at the David Attenborough Building at the University of Cambridge, live.
You can love it, you can live it, there's nothing without it. Don't let them kick you down. What if I don't need it? There's something about it that just brings me out. I just want another minute with it, but the little what's the use? What's the use? What's the use? Never superficial, you gon' know it when it hits you. Get a little sentimental when I'm off the news. What's the use? I'ma give you what you came for. Should I work too hard to have to prove who you are? Set the bar so far, love far, we can parlay all day, crib long range for the God.
Okay, it was the best we had ever done.
Yeah.
There were so many mistakes and errors in rehearsal because that's when you're nervous. That's when you're like, what's happening? But when it's showtime, that's when you show up and you support your team. You support your band. You support your podcast co-host. And you do what you came here to do and what you love doing. And you shine doing it because it's not really something you had to like force yourself to do. It's something you had to allow yourself to do because you deserve it.
Yes.
And you are worth it, and you can do it, and you can do it, and you can do it. And that's the healing power of art and like how it transcends disciplines and boundaries. I love you.
Thank you.
Much. Brittany, I love us.
Oh my God, I love us too.
Oh,
I
it's so
love
great.
you.
Thank God. I love you.
The lady in blue appeared from the sky just for me and for you. She folds up her wings, reveals delicately. Her wings have orange, not just blue. There's intrinsically more value than you to this girl. This girl. This girl. Mama, might I say you're packing that abdomen? The thorax, though, that's where I'm at. You know, I don't like to segment women into their parts, but none of it's bad. The head, the thorax, the abdomen, and those wings, just the tips. She said, not my tips.